Every generation has a few people who look at the impossible and say, "Watch me." The world told them no. Experts told them give up. Logic told them don't even try. But these people, they didn't just try, they succeeded. Today, we're diving into 5 real stories of men and women who were told their dreams were impossible until they proved everyone wrong. They were told it's impossible, then they did it. Story 1. The man who turned paralysis into power. In 2009, 21-year-old Sam Schmidt, a professional IndyCar driver, suffered a devastating crash. The accident broke his neck and left him paralyzed from the shoulders down. Doctors delivered the harsh truth. You will never move your limbs again, and you will never drive a car. For Sam, driving wasn't a hobby. It was his identity. Losing it felt like losing himself. But Sam wasn't the kind of man who accepted fate without a fight. Years later, he partnered with engineers from Aero Electronics. Together, they began designing something insane, a system that could allow a fully paralyzed person to drive using just head movements, breath signals, and brain control sensors. People told them it was impossible, but they kept going. After years of testing, failures, rebuilding, recalibrating, the day finally came. Sam Schmidt got behind the wheel, not of a toy car, but a real, full-power Corvette. Sensors tracked the tilt of his head to steer. A sip-and-puff tube controlled speed and braking. Infrared cameras read micro-movements from muscles he could barely activate. And on live television, in front of the entire country, Sam, a man fully paralyzed, drove again. Not slowly, not cautiously. He was hitting over 100 miles per hour. Narrator: Sam Schmidt didn't just return to racing. He became the world's first licensed quadriplegic race car driver. He turned impossible into a blueprint for the future of mobility. Story 2. The girl with no legs who became a world champion. When Jessica Cox was born, doctors were shocked. She had no arms. Her parents were told she'd never live independently. But Jessica grew up with a mindset most of us never develop. If I can't use my arms, I'll use something else. She learned to eat using her feet. Then she learned to write, then type, then drive. But Jessica wasn't done yet. At age 21, she walked into a flight school and asked to learn how to fly a plane. The instructors were confused. Some were doubtful, but one said, "Let's try." Jessica trained like everyone else, except she used her feet to control the yoke and throttle. It required insane balance, strength, and coordination. Most people struggle with flying even with their arms. But Jessica kept practicing for years. And in 2008, she did what the world said she never could. She became the first armless pilot in history. Jessica Cox transformed adversity into achievement, and today, she travels the world inspiring millions with one message: the limits you accept are the limits you live with. Story 3. The homeless teen who built a multi-million-dollar brand. At 16, Frederick Hudson sat in a prison cell, serving time for a nonviolent offense. He had no money, no connections, and no clear path to a future. Prisons tell you that once you're inside, your life is basically over. But Frederick noticed something, a problem nobody was solving. Families wanted to stay in touch with their incarcerated loved ones, but communication was slow, expensive, and outdated. So Frederick started designing a solution from his cell, a modern platform that could digitize mail, send photos, and make staying in touch easier and cheaper. People told him, "You can't run a tech company. You're a felon. You don't have investors. You don't even have a computer." But instead of giving up, he spent his time learning business, studying technology, and pitching ideas when he got out. It took hundreds of rejections, but eventually, someone believed in him. He launched Pigeonly, a company built to help families stay connected during incarceration. Today, Pigeonly is worth tens of millions of dollars, used across the U.S., employing dozens of people, and serving over 160,000 families. Narrator: a kid who society wrote off, built a national company because he refused to believe the story written for him. Story 4. The woman who turned a broken voice into a global breakthrough. In 1997, Kate Hayes, a school teacher, woke up and realized something terrifying. Her voice was gone, First a whisper, then nothing. Doctors diagnosed her with a rare condition, spasmodic dysphonia, a neurological disorder that made speaking almost impossible. The experts told her, there is no cure. You'll likely never have a normal voice again. For most people, losing your voice means losing connection to the world. For Kate, a teacher, it meant losing her entire career. But Kate didn't accept that. She spent years studying vocal science, experimenting with breathing techniques, and practicing speech therapy exercises. Most days, progress was invisible. Some days, she got worse, but she refused to quit. Then, after nearly a decade of work, something changed. Her voice started coming back. Slowly at first, then more clearly, until one day she spoke a full sentence, normally. Her recovery was so groundbreaking that researchers studied her techniques, later integrating them into new therapy methods used worldwide. Narrator, Kate Hayes didn't just get her voice back. She helped thousands of people regain theirs too. Story 5. The engineer who built the impossible machine. In the year 2000, a young engineer named James Dyson walked into meeting after meeting pitching an idea investors hated. A vacuum cleaner with no bag, using a spiral cyclone system. Experts said it would never work, that it was too expensive, too weird, too complicated, a complete waste of time. Dyson built prototype after prototype, 5,127 of them. Each failure cost money he didn't really have. Friends told him to quit. Companies rejected him because they didn't want a vacuum that never needed replacement bags. It wasn't profitable. But Dyson didn't care about what was profitable. He cared about what was possible. Finally, after 15 years, he built a model that worked flawlessly. He tried selling it in America. Rejected. He tried selling it in Europe. Rejected. No one wanted it. So what did he do? He launched it himself. Within a few years, Dyson became one of the fastest growing appliance companies in the world. Today, Dyson is valued at billions, and his machines are used worldwide. James Dyson turned stubborn belief into global innovation. Conclusion: what these stories teach us. When you look at these people, Sam Schmidt, Jessica Cox, Frederick Hudson, Kate Hayes, James Dyson, you realize something powerful. None of them succeeded because it was easy. None of them succeeded because the world believed in them. None of them succeeded because they were lucky. They succeeded because they heard the word impossible. And instead of stopping, they started. Sam drove again when he couldn't move. Jessica flew a plane with her feet. Frederick built a company from a prison cell. Kate rebuilt her voice from silence. Dyson engineered the unbuildable. If you did, make sure like and subscribe to our channel for future updates. See you in the next video.